Oh.
Okay, so let's go to the thing where it'll switch to.
There you go.
Oh my God.
Nice.
So those people viewing at home will now see you guys as individual speakers rather than a giant room where we cannot tell who is speaking really.
See.
Yeah.
We're getting fancy now. Okay.
That's what districts of the year does.
Right.
Thank you.
Clear communication to our community.
That's right.
And nobody else. has
But nobody
come into
joined
the
us.
meeting, it's
Yeah.
just us. Okay.
All right, well, Howard, do you want to go ahead and just
Sure.
kick off the meeting?
Yes, the meeting of the Finance Committee of Fallbrook Regional Health District of the Year is now in session.
Awesome. Do you want to just do a quick roll call?
Director Salmon,
Here.
Director Jeffries,
Is absent.
thank you.
So this is actually combined reports for both July and August. Because it is the start of our fiscal year, July really doesn't have a lot of data. So unless you have any concerns or questions, I would jump to August.
Jump.
Okay. I have the treasurer's report. I'll just kind of briefly pass through that as we go through the reports. Sound good? All right.
We're jumping to August.
Correct.
Got it.
So we'll go to report 1 for August. Awesome. Okay. And I know everybody can see all those numbers so clearly.
I have memorized.
I'm sure you actually probably have memorized that. So the balance sheet comparison from August to July, total liability and equity for August was $13,129,067.57. Total liabilities and equity for July was $13,171,198.96, showing a month-to-month decrease of $42,139.39. Statement 2 is our income statement. The net income for the month of August was a negative $40,533.87. This is due to low property tax revenue. And again, completely normal for this time of the year. So our expenses were generally consistent with budgeted, but we don't typically get any property tax dollars. So we generally budget to know that we're going to be running the negative in the first few months of the year, just as a side note. So we'll jump to report 3, unless there's any questions. These are usually the interesting part for everybody. The admin budget, based on our approved operating plan, the district was under the planned budget in year-to-date net income by $204,169. Sorry, I'm trying to get to my own notes here. Pretty much basically what that means is that we did not lose more than we budgeted. So we didn't really make money, but we didn't lose as much as we typically would have budgeted for the year. So that's always positive. We're staying within budget. We're not outspending ourselves in any great way. When you move to the secondary part, which is the budget versus actual for the wellness center, we were again under the planned year-to-date net income by $40,633.92. Again, this is another illustration where we did not spend as much as we had budgeted, which means that we didn't go into the red as deeply as we anticipated. Again, none of this is to be alarmed. It's only the second month of the fiscal year. And again, without property tax revenue, we generally do run pretty lean for this first quarter of the year. Any questions or concerns on any of those expenditures? There wasn't really anything of note that was out of the ordinary. Anything that I missed? No? Okay. Howard, any questions from you on that?
Not yet.
Perfect. All right, report number 4 is our LAIF investment account statement. LAIF posted 0 in quarterly interest earnings with a fair market value of $1,353,729.25. The average monthly effective yield was 4.579. I love how they go out 3 decimal places. Very funny. Anyways, again, just as a reminder, LAIF only posts quarterly. So again, nothing to be alarmed about for that. Report number 5 is our Cal Trust investment account statement, where the district earned $17,104.45 in the medium term fund with an unrealized gain of $35,181.56. The cost basis was $5,013,262.83, with a fair market value of $4,987,755.70. The 1-year yield on the medium term was 4.08. And then Howard, just to point out, we now have 2 Cal Trust accounts. I don't remember, I think that happened after your first tenure.
Right.
Part of the reason that we added a secondary was to take advantage of the unique investment environment where we had that inverted yield curve. We were able to make more money on liquid funds.
Yeah.
So we did open what is called the liquidity fund, which has a much more short-term action. The district earned $4,750.36 in that liquidity fund. The cost basis and fair market value was $1,043,166.61. As of August 21, the 1-year yield was 5.6. So when you compare the yield from the median at 4.08 to the liquidity at 5.6, you can see where that was a smart investment move for the district.
Yep.
All right. Report number 6 is
Let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
So who gave us advice or who decided that this was a really good thing to do?
I would say that came to the district from staff. We had obviously been talking with the entire finance team, our auditors, and then various, when we decided to open the California class account, there was a lot of conversation about being able to take advantage of this unique market. We went to all of the different sources and it really was recommended we should go this way. Because you opened the door, I'm going to step in. I think you'll find that the finance team is going to probably bring forward within the next few months a recommendation that we consider getting an asset manager so that we're more responsive to these unique market opportunities, knowing that our expenses at the Wellness Center for programming and other initiatives we hope to bring to the district will cost us funds. It's important that we're making the best usage of those investment dollars. We are not investment professionals. We are skillful, but that is definitely not our bandwidth. And I think having that additional support would be good for the district. So I know Judith and I have both talked with a couple of different investment advisors that work specifically with municipal entities, including special districts. And it might be wise for us. We do have a small nest egg that came from the sale of the hospital. And we've been judicious in how it's spent. But as more of it is dwindled from the development over the Wellness Center, as we look to initiatives that will be more expensive for the district, but meet our health priorities, I think it's important that we're very careful and responsive to investment opportunities. We're not going to see a market like we saw in the last year where every entity made monies.
So we gotta
Stay on
pick the
top.
right ones, huh?
Right.
Thank you for that.
Sure. So report number 6 is California class, and I believe that might have been another account we opened in your interim.
Right.
California class really set the bar in capturing a lot of these investments for municipals. So, and they have been a joy to work with, very helpful, a lot of great information, responsive to the district, whether you're large or small. And they have a fairly large investment pool, so we're not worried about any of their risk as well.
Great.
So for report number 6, the district earned $4,846.16. The cost basis and fair market value was $1,061,814.19. The average monthly yield was 5.4. So again, you're seeing some pretty good returns from them.
Right.
All right. You'll also see then, if you want to move to the compliance statement, as we typically do, our compliance statement is put forward by our district accountant that does an overview of the 3 investment tools. That is there for more detail in case you have any specific questions, but we don't typically read through this one. And again, I'm just reminding you where we've come since last time you sat on a finance committee.
Right, oh, I appreciate that. And tell me again who writes this one?
Susan writes that one.
I thought that was the case.
Yes. So
Wanted to
Susan goes
confirm
through
that.
all the investments and coalesces them into a singular report.
Super.
All right, report number 7 is our check detail report. And again, you'll see this report looks a little different than it used to. Part of that is we switched from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online, and their reporting features are a little different. What we found for the detail report, instead it just used to list every check in order. What this does now is it actually shows those checks by the vendor, which is kind of nice because you can do a quick scroll through and notice anything that's different or new. Like everybody knows what, CalPERS is. That's going to be the district's benefits for employees. Fowler Pest Control, pretty obvious. FPUD, pretty obvious. Sometimes you'll see things like Fallbrook Rooter and Drain. Okay, well, that's a maintenance. You're going to see it periodically. But this is also where you'll see things that go to like night security or LDC Always Green. These are our basic, vendors that we provide, that provide services to us on a monthly basis. We generally will only point out a new vendor or a new bill, but it is there for the review.
That's great.
Any questions on any of those expenditures or?
Just looking them over. Is Umpqua based in Oregon?
Yes, I believe so. Or Washington. I think it's Washington. That's right in front of me.
The reason I asked is that a fly tying company has a name of Umpqua, and it is based in Oregon.
Yep.
Wondered about that.
Umpqua Bank was one of the first commercial cards we got for the district. It's a much smaller bank. It has some old wonkier online tools, and it's just more difficult to navigate. So last year we also opened accounts over at 5 Star, which is why you'll now see 2 district credit cards. As we have gotten more active and more advanced in what the district is doing, you'll see that there's more recurring payments that happen to this. When you see a lot of software platforms, they bill on a monthly basis to a credit card. That was something that was very difficult to manage with Umpqua because it had a much lower balance. You may remember there was often late fees that showed up on our account because we would mail the check, but by the time it got to them, their window was so small and they just didn't move very quick. So we have started phasing out Umpqua. We'll keep both accounts active because there are times when we may have 3 staff at a conference and suddenly you have 3 hotel rooms and transfers and such. So we'll keep both, but that's why you'll see 2 different credit card statements in the finance packet. Again, keeping ourselves very, very transparent.
Thank
You can
you.
see those expenses. So report 8 is both for the Umpqua credit account
Yep.
as well as the 5-star credit account. One thing to note on 5-star, which is a little bit different, is that it allows us to provide cards within the same account, but cards to different employees. And what we really noticed was that there was a few employees that had regular ongoing need for access to do this so that we weren't writing reimbursement checks all the time.
Right.
And that included, besides Judith and myself, Judith handling most of the admin expenses. You have one for Jasmine, which when we're doing Facebook posts or we're boosting social media or something of that nature, generally, that's what you'll see on hers. Teresa, myself have one, as does Raquel, so that if we're doing, let's say, a board event, she doesn't have to try to round up a credit card to go get snacks or supplies or something.
Right.
Again, everything is completely listed on the credit statement. And then Judith also makes sure to reconcile that along with the rest of our finance team, bookkeeping, and accounting with Susan, so that there's lots of oversight. Okay. Report 9 is our community development disbursements. Was missing on this one. The report shows utilized funds invested in district's real estate primarily for the redevelopment of the Community Health and Wellness Center. You've seen that report ongoing. It hasn't really changed. We did not have one in this packet this month. I believe we only had a couple of expenditures in there. There are things that were already known, including payments to, I think, Arch 5 or Encinitas Design Group, which are the two architects that we're using to support development at the Wellness Center, obviously. So you'll see that in the next report, and that's probably at the end of September, which is the end of the first quarter, is typically where then we come back to finance and say, we spent this much money out of operating. We'll seek funds from the investment account to replenish those, and then that's obviously tracked as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the first quarter of fiscal year 24-25, we did spend $244,388. The majority of that, of course, is SiteLogic going for the solar canopies and EV charging at the Wellness Center. And I think that is like 90% of the expenses out of that. So,
Yeah.
the disclosures are that the investments of the district are in compliance with the district's 24-25 investment policy. The balance in the district's investment accounts gives the district the ability to meet its expenditure requirements for the next 12 months. That's good. And that is the bulk of the reporting until we get to discussion.
Those are unbudgeted expense, transfer, and the operating account.
Right.
Proceed.
Perfect. So the unbudgeted expense, this is a follow-up conversation from both facilities to finance. Just as an update, the brain of the elevator died. It's an old brain. It literally looked like a circuit board like kids would make in college, right? Like a little soldered board kind of thing. So our elevator vendor was like, we could fix it for about $4,500, or we can get you a new one for about $5,200.
So it was 58 or 60.
58,
Yeah,
something
new
like
brain.
a new brain.
Yeah.
So the discussion in facilities was obviously it made more sense to spend a little more money to buy a new one than to try to rehab something that was so old. So that was an unfunded, an unbudgeted expense that will show up in that maintenance line item. You're gonna probably see it in next month's statement. So it's just to let you know, you've got to fix the elevator,
Yeah.
but it's going to blow that line item of the budget quite a bit. So not dramatic,
No.
but something to be aware of.
Yeah. I mean, that's new to me.
It's new to you, but it's not new to facilities, so we wanted to bring it forward. Whenever those kinds of things cross committee, we just like to report it.
Yeah, that's great.
And then we wanted to memorialize the agreement of the transfer of $250,000 from the 5-Star money market account to our Bank of California operating account to ensure smooth cash flow. I emailed both you and Jennifer with the fact that we would be doing that. Again, that is something that we set up last year after the large banking challenges that you saw with Silicon Bank and such like that.
Yeah.
The idea is we wanted to make sure that no one account was overly full. So in order to keep the Bank of California, the previous Pacific Western Bank, from having this massive balance, we went to 5-Star, have the money market account where we park funds when we have our large S that can sit there, so that when we do run into this first few months of lean property taxes, in order to make a smooth cash flow, we can transfer to and back from those two accounts. So we don't typically need authorization prior, that was agreed upon, but I definitely want to let you know whenever those transfers are done, and then we memorialize them in the meeting.
Okay, thanks.
And I think that was all that we really had for discussion.
I think so.
Any other questions or concerns or questions regarding finance reporting? I know it's different from, I think, when you were the first time treasurer back in the
Yeah.
back in the day.
Back in the day. Yeah, I mean, this is remarkably different and good.
Excellent. We also have Marty, our bookkeeper, has a new program that will allow her to produce reports in a more concise way. We are testing those before we'll bring them forward. We'll bring them forward when we know Jennifer is also going to be here to see those.
Yeah.
And what we figured we would do is have 1 month where we have our standard reporting and have the new reporting side by side. So that if how the report looks is not how you all want it,
right,
we can either make those changes or stay with the old. The new report is really nice because it gives sort of a narrative description, which is a little bit easier to follow. And it should make that easier to read for anyone, whether community looks at it or something. Obviously, we are deeply committed to making our financials very transparent to the community so that no one has any question.
How does that software do that?
It's connected through our QuickBooks Online, and it's able to just take the data and consolidate it into a very normalized report.
And the narrative.
Magic.
Yeah.
It's AI.
It's AI.
I was about to say that, but I thought, I don't know.
Yeah, it is,
AI stuff.
it is AI.
Wow.
And because these are pretty standardized,
Yeah,
it's not trying to be creative,
yeah,
but we're going to continue to be watching it. As you and I both saw at ACHD,
Right.
AI is being integrated into
Yeah.
all parts of business. And so this just makes it a lot easier for us to,
That's AI.
that's AI, everything is AI. But for those kinds of things, it makes it a lot easier and takes a lot less time
yeah,
for staff to have to be able to work on some of these more methodical procedures.
Yeah.
And once AI is tightened down and we have it learn from us, it saves a lot of time.
that speaker,
Yes.
you'll recall, said that every day in the morning, he asks 3 different AI programs a question every day. And, gets whatever the answers are, and I presume looks to see if one or, doesn't agree with the other. I was thinking, I'm going to love to do that.
It was really an exceptional presentation. They brought this guy up from, I think, Indiana.
Yeah.
And he has been on the cutting edge of this for over a decade. And so he is still testing out all the large language models, right, that AI is built on. And so he'll ask a relatively benign question, and I've forgotten the example he gave us, but it was something how much water you should drink, or,
Something.
or how many sips are in a pint of beer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how many
Right.
sips are in a pint of beer?
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, that's a random question, right?
Yeah.
So 3 different models, and he got different answers. And one of them definitely went rogue and gave him some phantom stats and said, oh, here's the research article. So he's like, well, that's interesting. He goes to the research article and it has nothing to do
With the question.
with the question, but it was very interesting that you have to be skeptical. You have to see what they're giving you and question, does this make sense? And how did they get there?
How did we get
Right.
there? Yeah.
How did they get there? And because he's this AI, computer modeling guy, he went down the rabbit hole and was able to say, okay, here's where the glitch is. Here's where they need to make some fixes. Here's how the question needed to be answered, right? Because what's a sip?
Yeah.
What's a sip? Is that the same thing as a drink? Is that an ounce? Is it half an ounce? I mean,
Everyone's is different.
everyone's different. Some of us may have large amounts. than others. As I
That
point to
was
myself.
neat.
So that was interesting. So AI is here.
Yeah.
At Fallbrook Regional Health District. And we are being careful to watch it. So when we do see those new reports, there's much less creativity
Mhm.
and ambiguity in obviously what we're asking for that.
Yeah.
But it's good to watch.
It's a good way to start.
So that is, that's all that's all I got.
It's good stuff.
Okay. So we'll have both of these reports in the October board meeting. They generally fall within the consents. There's nothing really unique in here, but of course, as a member of the committee at that meeting, should you want to pull something out, remember that would be the time that would be done. So.
Good. Thank you all for the things you do.
We're here to serve.
This meeting is adjourned.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It is
Stop recording.
27.
10:27.
Is that
Record
a record?
speed.
Yeah.
Yes.